Hey, good morning or afternoon, wherever you're at. Jason here, coming to you back in Colorado Springs. I'm not going to lie, for everybody that was on last week, I was in the air flying to Boston for NAR's annual convention, and I was sad to not be here talking about the Video Influencers Guide and its release. So if you guys were on last week, thanks for joining us. Over the course of the last week, that Influencers Guide has gotten thousands of downloads. It's been getting some great interaction. So if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you go and do that. You can also check out the audio, or you can go back to Facebook and watch that if you missed it. It was a killer interview and a lot of really cool stuff that's going on around the Video Influencers Guide. So enough about that. Today, I'm super excited to have Bryan on with us. Before I go any further, Bryan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Jason, thanks for having me. Bryan Casella, 32 years old. I've been in the real estate game for 5 years now, run a team, obviously have a thriving YouTube channel. Well, at least I like to think it's thriving with 100,000 subscribers. Doing a lot of traveling and speaking now, coaching, spoken at the California Association of Realtors event pretty recently. I've gone internationally, just some stuff with the guys from $1 Million Listing. So whether it's real estate or the online stuff, it's really expanding. And I like to think of myself as a good influencer, and more so in the sense that I want to represent, whether people like my personal image or brand or not, the push to raise our skills and give a better service, not only as realtors, but also as influencers.
And that's exactly what we're going to dive in today. So everybody that's watching, over the course of the next 20, 30 minutes or so, I'm going to dive into Bryan's brain and try to understand and unlock some of these things. Again, whether you're in real estate or not, how you step into being an influencer and how you begin to think about some of the things is really what we want to begin to explore. And so first question I have for you, Bryan, is when did you begin this process? I mean, you don't just get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. How long have you been at this?
Years, man. I think my first YouTube video was called My Real Estate Story, where I'm sitting there with braces still in my suit, trying to look flashy and cool. And I tell people the story of me getting into real estate. And the first portion, and I think this is where people kind of have a hang up with creating content.
You're good. Sorry.
Oh, we're good.
You told us your internet might be a little spotty. It just hung up, but you're good. I think you're back.
Okay. In my area, so that's probably what it was. So a lot of people have this hang up with creating content because they think they have to already be established or be some sort of super expert to start creating content. So my first, we can say probably 1.5 years or 2 years was strictly, hey, bringing you along the journey. This is what I'm going through. This is what I've learned. Hey, I knocked on doors today. Hey, I made calls. And that is really what I believe was the first hook to get people onto it. I was just sharing what I was going through, and you got to see my trials and tribulations as I went through them. And that's what led me to then get to where I'm at now. But in a nutshell, that was it. Just follow me. This is me, raw, uncut. I'm unhappy today. I'm upset. I'm crying. This is what I'm going through. And I was willing to share that. And I think that was the big first step that was a key for me.
So giving people like an authentic look at yourself. And then if you look at kind of your progression and what you've been doing, there's kind of a shift where you begin to go more into kind of just your life and what you're doing and going beyond just talking about real estate. Talk about how you kind of pivoted into that and finding kind of another thread of content.
Yeah, man, great question. It came from two things. Number one, I felt like I was getting a little bit too repetitive because it's the same kind of stuff. There's only so much you can follow and cover about the fundamentals of real estate or your markets and all that stuff. And two, I wanted to broaden the audience and say, man, just like I came from basketball, which is a completely unrelated field, there's probably a lot of people who don't know much about real estate or might be interested in it. So that's when I started collaborating with other people, for example, in the car community. I've always been a car guy. And I remember my buddy, Mike, he has like 400,000 subscribers. He lives pretty close to me. He was saying, man, I really want to drive or see a Skyline GTR. And at the time I had one. So I just messaged him. I said, hey, Mike, I've watched your channel. I got one. Let's connect. And we ended up doing a video together. And that was the first video that spurred a lot of growth in my channel and took me from probably about 1,000 to like 4,000 or 5,000, was doing a collab with him. And that's when I started seeing the catalyst of now taking people from the entrepreneurial side, the car side. And it was really just me beginning to open up the shell of who I am and show more. Most people, especially in the real estate space, what do we see? Their listings, their client testimonials, and then the pictures of them in their suit at the events with the thumbs up, like, hey, what's up? It's too like generic, you know? It's like they all look the same. They just look a little bit different. One's taller, one's shorter. I said, I want to spice this up. I know people want to know about me. Let's open up the door a little bit more. And then that's when I saw the floodgates open and all this craziness we can call the growth and all that and the expansion really start happening.
And so I think a couple key things that I want to kind of unpack. First of all, we talk a lot about finding something that you're passionate about to drive your content. Because if you don't care about it, you can't create content around it. And so what for you did, like, so when you look at your channel, and I was looking through, I saw three key things. One is motivation, just pure motivation for people in their business and in their life. I saw obviously the cars and all the content around the cars, and then just a healthy lifestyle, working out and fitness, and kind of creating content around those three themes. Do you ever deal with people that say that you're showing too much, or it's not enough real estate, or how do you leverage that to be the positive business growth that you would want?
Yeah, well, you touched on something very important when you said the passion and the reason for doing what you do. And in the beginning, man, I haven't shared this with too many people, but before I got into real estate, long time ago, I think it was about the time of the crash, like in 06, 07, my parents went through what I saw them getting basically talked into buying a piece of property that ended up being like the worst investment ever. And when they sold it years later, when I got my license, they lost like $200,000 or $300,000. So when I got in the business, when I started documenting, right, one of the we can call the axioms or the laws that I was working under was, I want, again, whether people like me or not, I want to demonstrate and push that we have to step up as realtors and have skill, be genuine, help people. If it's not time for them to buy or sell, tell them. If it is, you help them and you deliver the best customer service. So that was one of the messages. And as that audience kept growing and I kept making more content, what it transitioned into also with all the requests and questions and emails I was getting, it literally kind of shifted my purpose a little bit to, okay, I'm going to help people. Apparently my voice, my message helps a lot of people, whether it's the customer or another agent or entrepreneur. And that kind of fueled what I wanted to do. And to answer the other question you said about, showing too much or you need to do more real estate, at the end of the day, I told myself, I don't want to package up my content or do it solely based on what I think other people want. We as influencers have to, we want to entertain the audience's opinion, sure, because we want to steer our content a certain way, but it needs to come from you. I'm not going to make a gimmicky video just because I know it's going to get a gazillion views, right? I want to make content that I think is going to be helpful and that comes from me and that I said, hey, this was a breakthrough for me. This is important information. Let me share it. And it comes from a place of authenticity. And that's why, even though I don't have the most followers, the most views, my audience is so gripped and loyal to me is because of that.
Dude, love that. There's so many good things there. And I think one of the things I picked up is talking about how while you're doing what's true to you, it's the market that told you they wanted it. I.e., I like this information you're giving. I like this value. And I think so often that's what people need to begin to do as you start putting content out there is what is the feedback that you're getting? What are you getting emails on? What are you getting DMs on? What are you getting comments on? That's the stuff you push deeper into as long as it stays within the bounds of who you are and what you're being authentic to. But the two feed each other. And if you're not getting those comments or you're not getting that kind of interaction, that's then where you kind of pause and think about, okay, what else can I be doing? But the marketplace will tell you what's working. And then you just keep doubling down and going deeper into that. And so that said, I saw a couple people just pop on. Jason here with BombBomb, interviewing Bryan Casella, video influencer, has over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, is doing some amazing things, kind of unlocking how he got there. So if you've got questions, make sure you drop those in. We're taking a look at the comments. The other thing that you talked about that I want to kind of hear more around is that collaboration piece and growing your influence leveraging other people. And the first one was kind of around the car side of things. But moving forward, how have you seen collaborations or other collaborations really help you get access to other spheres of influence or other followers?
Absolutely, man. It was one of those things that I first became intentional about doing. And what people have to realize is when you want to collaborate with somebody, like in the case that I gave you with my friend Mike, I offered him some sort of value, right? He liked that certain type of car. I said, hey, I have the car. You want to do a video? Check it out. Here we go. So in exchange for him doing a video with me, who obviously he had a huge following, I gave him a piece of value, which at the time was one of my cars. So that's what's missed is a lot of times I get emails or, hey, let's collab. And it's not that like I want something, but it's like, hey, do you have a message that will help my audience? Do you have something to offer that makes this collaboration make sense? Are we in the same genre? Is there something that I can help you with? There has to be some kind of exchange. And I think people miss that when it comes to collaborations. Outside of that, people think that because you have a bigger following, you're totally against collaborations. I don't get asked. I get asked, mentor me and all that. But if I would count up how many requests I've gotten to do a collaboration like video or something, I could probably count them on two hands. People think that you're getting flooded, but you're not. It's more, hey, can you give me money? Hey, can you help me with this? Which is the bulk of the request. And you hit the nail on the head, man. When I started doing the car stuff and then putting myself more in that world, I did get access to new networks and new people who not only I do business with, but I do videos with. And I have new friends and relationships that help me with other business endeavors and other connections. So we have to understand, especially for the realtors watching or anybody who's stuck in their one field, you only have access to a certain level of audience and type of person in that genre. When you start opening doors to other ones, you now create new opportunities. And if that other door, like in my case, car, there's already a passion of yours and you like, it's just, the icing on the cake. And it's not only made collaborating and doing other stuff more natural and easy, but it's made it more fun. This is why I'm never going to run out of content to do. I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing, teaching the car stuff, the lifestyle vlogs, and all this is a blast. And it's easy for me, and it doesn't take as much time as people think.
It's again, like so much incredible value there for anybody that's watching or listening. One of the things that I think is so important for people to understand, especially in real estate, and anyone just in your local area, that sometimes collaborations can be as simple as going down to the local coffee shop and saying, hey, can I highlight you? The value that you have to offer is video. And remember, this is one of the key things I think that we see strategy happening around is so valuable, is saying, I know how to put a simple video together. And sometimes small business owners don't. A lot of small businesses don't know how to do video. So when you come in and say, and you want access to their community, whether that's a community you're selling into, whether it's a community that you're looking to have in your geographic sphere of influence, whatever that might be, the value you have to offer is simply saying, I know how to create a video that's going to highlight you and it's going to highlight me. And simply, most people are going to say yes to doing that video. And now all of a sudden you have a piece of content, you have a piece of value that they're going to share, you're going to share, and you're going to get more followers, you're going to get more interaction from those types of collaborations. So it doesn't have to be as big as going after someone that has thousands of views or thousands of followers. It's also about strategically finding those key people. And like you're saying, Bryan, just because if they do have a followership, you might think they're going to say no, but the reality is they may be a lot more open to it than you think.
Absolutely. And what you just said is a strategy I tell people to do. It doesn't take anything. I did the exact thing you just described with first the people that I knew, my barber, my accountant, restaurants that I always frequent that people like me. I did videos with them with this, my phone. By the way, to the audience, my first 3 years on YouTube was done with an iPhone. No fancy microphones, no fancy lights, no fancy cameras, no editing software, just film, edit. Half the times I didn't put tags. I didn't know what I was doing with the thumbnail. Sometimes it was like an image from the video like this, it's ridiculous. But the consistency and my willingness to do it is what ultimately got me to where I'm at. Because as you take the action, you can make the corrections. What everybody tries to do is say, whoa, hold on, Jason, hold on, Bryan. I'm going to create this master pinky in the brain plan where I'm going to take over the internet. But first I need to prepare for 3 years and get everything together before I ever shoot a video. Shoot the video. You know how many bloopers I have? How many videos I posted where I mess up? It's okay. Just get the content out. 99% of people make that mistake. They'll write this down and say, I'm going to go to that restaurant. And then they put it off for 2 years and they never do it.
It happened. I mean, anybody that's watching, like, that is the truth right there. You got to just get it done and send it out. So, Bryan, as you talk about, like, one of the things I love too is when you look at your influence and your people that are engaging with you. I mean, you're based out of, you're saying Southern LA, and your reach is, you're focused on a certain area. You're not trying to be across the nation, right? It's like, it doesn't matter whether or not someone in New York knows you, but you're focused in on this kind of very niche content that's getting you the interactions and getting you kind of that social influence status. But it's because you're focused on the niche, not trying to go so broad. And so what would you say or share with people that are kind of trying to grow their own influence and grow their own? Where do they get started? I mean, you talked about just doing it, but how? Or what's kind of that next layer deep wise of where to get started?
Great question, Jason. There's two things I can say. If you're somebody who's in real estate, I'll answer this first. Pick your areas, right? One series that is always popular that people love is when you make a video about a certain market or area or neighborhood and you market it that way. I know people with very small followings on Facebook who make a basic video about a certain city like Sacramento, California, and it gets tens of thousands of views and they start getting some momentum with it and some business and they become a brand, right? Their branding actually starts to increase. So from that sense, pick those areas that you want to work, 2 or 3, and niche it down, just like Jason said. Now, for somebody else, I would say, especially if you're new to Facebook and YouTube, if you go back to my beginning journey, my first, again, 2 years of videos was specifically about real estate. And I cornered in on like cold calling and door knocking, the old school techniques, being young in the business and overcoming all those barriers, and then sharing with people what I was reading and how I was forging my mindset. So that was kind of like the little umbrella that I focused in on. And that was my foundation. So now, years later, when I start expanding into cars and stuff, I've already built an audience and now I have a platform to now expand. The biggest mistake I see people do is what you just said. They start a YouTube channel and then they want to start about 7 topics. Oh, I'm vegan. I'm a basketball player. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a fitness blogger. And I also do this. It's like, dude, you got to pick one and go all in, get some momentum, then you can branch out. And that's where I think a lot of people think that being the jack of all trades is actually a benefit when in reality it is.
So how have you leveraged this to grow your business, to grow your team? So you've been in real estate for 5 years. We were just talking before we went live about how you've been growing a team, you're getting more agents in, you've built a brand around yourself. Like, how do you begin to then really pivot this into getting more business done? Like, kind of unlock that for people. Because I think a lot of times people think, okay, that's great. You got 100,000 YouTube subscribers and you're spending all this time putting videos together and getting it out. What does that actually mean to the bottom line of your business?
Right. If we're going to just zoom in specifically on real estate, I can talk about the outside brand later, but with just real estate, one of the most overlooked things is we're talking about brand. To the people watching, what do you think anybody outside of LA thinks about me when it comes to LA real estate? They think I'm the man. The perception is this guy's killing it. And I was telling you yesterday when we spoke on the phone, Jason, I'm sending out, like in, I think July and August combined, I sent out like 8 or 9 referrals nationwide, right? And 4 of those have already closed. On top of that, we're receiving referrals. We receive at least 1 or 2 a month. So from a business standpoint, my bottom line exponentially increased just from content. That's just being sent to us, right? And if I send out a deal, I'm getting 25%, baby, when that closes. So of course, that's never going to be on the books, but I'm getting my 25% referral fees all day. So just from that standpoint, right? If we even think outside of your main area, it's huge. Now, when it comes to your actual area, not only will the content bring in some leads in business, but more than anything, branding and credibility is everything. If I send a couple videos to our clients that we have a meeting with or that are considering us and other realtors, and they watch a couple videos, it's over. They're ours. People have forgotten this. There's a lot of video out there, but if a client or a customer in your genre watches your videos and you come across even pretty good, you're automatically perceived as an expert. And that's missed, right? That is so missed. Mm-hmm. So if I can get somebody to watch 1 or 2 of our videos and all before they meet us, we already send them videos, it really raises our chances of getting it, right? And now that we're transitioning into an era where even the older generations are starting to get wind and get a hold of social media, because I go to parties now, man. Or I go to a hotel and they're having like a party for, the seniors that are like 60 and over, and they're Snapchatting and Instagramming the night. I'm like, okay, dude,
yes,
obviously they're getting it.
yes.
Now, when I sit in front of them and they see the following that we have and our unique value proposition, that's a portion of it, they now see the power and the impact of it. So that influences also that customer that you would have already been talking to anyway to lean even more towards you. So not only does it help with the referrals, but it also helps with your branding and credibility. And that's so overlooked. When somebody knows that you're doing stuff on social media and you have followers and they understand it even a little bit now, whoa, they think, oh, more exposure for my house, more people are going to see it. Sold. This guy knows what he's doing. This girl knows what he's doing. This team knows what they're doing. So those would be the two main points of focus, I would say, for somebody is this stuff is there. And when they look online, if they're not looking at you as an agent, they're looking at somebody else. So understand that it's better for you to be in that space than to not be in that space.
So what other types of video are you doing in your business? Obviously, you have your YouTube channel. Are you doing video on Instagram and Facebook and other types of like content creation, or do you just really focus in on the YouTube side of things?
I would say I'm one of the few that does them all, Jason. I'm huge. I do probably at least 5, 6, or 7 Instagram stories a day. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I do at least 3 or 4 Facebook Lives a week. And I've really transitioned now because of what we were talking about earlier, the market demand. I'm not only doing this stuff for real estate, but I have my other online businesses too of teaching and helping and mentoring. I have my Modern Success program, which is a personal coaching and mentorship program. I had 8 people join yesterday, man. 8. So we're up to 180 now. I'm also traveling and speaking. I've done stuff for the California Association of Realtors, and that business side is growing. So what we just talked about on the previous point also translates into this space, because I want my brand to be BC. I'm not just a realtor. Being a real estate agent and a team leader is one part of me. I tell people it's like one piece of my armor, right? So understand the possibilities beyond just being a realtor as well, that eventually you can transition to.
So, okay. I'm like, so that's like the value there. And I think what's so interesting, and I'm seeing this happen more and more for people in real estate, is as you get into this being an influencer, and again, just remembering that influencer doesn't always mean high numbers. Influencers can also be this idea of like you're micro-influencing your sphere of influence, your area. But the number of opportunities that it has unlocked for so many people to break outside of just their real estate business and begin to do other things. And really the ones that are pivoting in and doing that more and more see the value of that and see the vision of that. And now all of a sudden they're speaking. And they're being invited to go places. And it's all just because they frankly just started doing a video. It's not even that it's great video. It doesn't have to be great video, because perception is everything. And sometimes perception doesn't mean professionalism. I think that's important to remember. From the sense of your video editing skills or your video technology, just holding your phone up and doing a video is going to be better than the other 99% who aren't doing anything. Your face is getting in front of them. How do you time block, or how do you create so much content? Like, give us a little bit of your process around that, because I think that's where, again, the technology can be one hang up, or the equipment. The other hang up is the time. How do you find time, or what are you doing to make sure this is happening on a regular basis?
Yeah, key point there. Number one, and this is a message people need to write down and even tattoo on themselves. I always ask people this: are you using social media, or is social media using you? Everybody, what's the first thing 99% of people do when they wake up? They pick up their phone and see who left them a comment and like their stuff on Facebook and Instagram. I don't do that, okay? I've scheduled in, just like my other real estate duties and everything else, time in my schedule to do it. I have a little time block between, I would say probably 12 to about 12:30, 12:45, where I put in the tags and edit the next YouTube video that's gonna be released, answer emails, answer messages, do a couple Instagram posts, Facebook posts, and do all that stuff. And then I have my evening block between 5:30 and 6:30 where I do my Facebook Lives, my Instagram Lives, my podcasts, and all that stuff. So it's literally 2 small time blocks of about 45 minutes apiece, maybe an hour in the evening for the lives, because those can be longer. And that's it. That encompasses all my editing, all my responding to emails, Instagram stories. For those of you who are doing Instagram stories and Snapchat and all that, here's a little free tip for you. A lot of people don't know it. If you take a video with your phone, with a regular camera, you can then take that video and put it on Instagram story or Snapchat or Facebook. You don't have to be in the app recording and do it 3 or 4 times. Now, I figured that out on my own after 6 months, and I said, I'm a dummy. Why haven't I been doing it the other way? So now I can take a video yesterday, the day before, in that moment of making calls and have content for days. You guys have to start thinking ahead. It's not, oh, he's on his phone all the time. It's like, no, I have 30 minutes where I get the content, and then that's the content for the day or two. We need to start thinking a little bit ahead and being smarter.
Yeah, I love it. There's a great app out there called Cut Story you can take your video on your phone, and it can be a minute long or however long it's going to be, and then load it into Cut Story, and then it will splice it up depending on the platform, right? So Instagram gives you 15 seconds per clip. Facebook is different, Snapchat's different, and it'll actually break it up into those categories, and then you can just load up those 15-second things, and now all of a sudden you have a story that's a minute long, 4 clips. You recorded it the day before, let that app make it right. And there's a bunch of other ones out there, but I've done that same tactic where Cut Story is awesome. And your audience doesn't know the difference. They think you recorded it in the moment, starting to stop each 15-second story. Do you use any other apps or anything that help you with that type of stuff?
I'm going to download Cut Story now, man. Like I'm very I'm not tech savvy, so I need to, have another call with you, dude, and get up to speed on that. I'm very old school, man. I just do the video stuff and post it. I don't do the extra apps and all that. I just don't get it. My girlfriend, Loida, who you guys were going to do the interview with, she does, and she helps me, but she's the techie one. I'm the workhorse. It just creates the content. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, Cut Story is a cool little app to make that type of process really simple. And Sabrina asked, do you do any keyword search for your tags? Like, do you do any looking at like other keywords that are working when you tag your videos, or do you just tag in your niche and kind of the things you're going after?
That's something I need to start doing for sure. That's why I said in the beginning, there's a lot of stuff that I don't do right. That's technically the right thing to do. I just make sure in a lot of videos, I always have certain tags like my name, real estate agent, sales training, real estate training, entrepreneur. There's like 5 or 6 tags that I put in all my videos because I want to create that depth on Google. And that's kind of what's helped me corner those niches. But that would be the next step for me, is to do stuff like that. I just, I tell people, let me be the example that you can still do well, even if you don't do the technical stuff right. Because I have people who follow me, man, who aren't in real estate, aren't really watching my stuff, but they're like, dude, every app, every platform I look on, I always see you. I'm like, good, that I'm doing something right. That's what I want. Because then, I'm a realtor and this and that. So when you need anything that I can help you with, I'm going to be your guy. And that's what I want.
And something else too that I love about that is I watch so many people get hung up in the research phase and in the learning phase. There's so much valuable information out there. There's a billion blogs on how to become an influencer, and they break it out for you, and they give you all these things. And you've broken all those rules, dude. Like you're not doing, you're not following those things. It's because you're putting out meaningful content that your audience cares about. And that's how you got to 100,000 subscribers, not because you hacked keywords or you did this thing. It's through consistency, hard work that got you there. And I think, honestly, that's the message everyone needs to hear. Like, damn the blogs that talk about the ways to become a social influencer. You do it by just doing it and becoming that because you care about it. And anyways, that's the key thing I hear from you, man. And I love is that it's just you being you, doing the hard work. You saw the value in it. You've done the things you can do, the light editing. Like we were talking earlier, I was asking, like, do you have a videographer? Are you doing any of this other stuff? And you're like, nope, that's not, I'm just doing it. And so anyways, that's, I think, what I want everyone to pick up from this.
You hit the nail on the head, bro. Value. That's a lot of people were like, okay, I just want to create a YouTube channel so then I can funnel people in and sell my program. That's cool, but are you actually delivering value on the videos? So that's been the main focus. I don't have the best editing. I don't do the keyword searching and all that. But if you watch my video, I know someone's going to watch the video and say, whoa, that was a great video because of the information and the delivery and everything else. So I focus on that. And what you just described is everybody focusing on the other stuff instead of the meat and bones of the content, which is really where you can differentiate yourself and give a certain level of value that maybe other people can't find. I mean, I've seen so many viral videos on Facebook, dude, and YouTube that are, 240p quality, but it's funny or it's gripping or it has that quality that makes it viral. It's not the editing and all the other stuff we just talked about. And once people can flip that perspective and say, hey, my first video might not get a lot of views, but as we do this thing over time, it's going to grow. It took me, dude, I want to say about 2 years to break 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers from the day that I started. Years. And people are like, man, I've been doing videos for a month and I only have 1,000 subscribers. I'm like, dude, it took me 2 years.
I love it. So let's say everybody that's watching, like if they want to go see your stuff, watch what you're doing, what's your YouTube channel? What's your Instagram, Facebook handles? Where can they go and learn more about you?
Well, all the handles are going to be at Bryan Casella, just like you see here, my name for Instagram, Twitter, and all that. YouTube, if you just type in my name, you'll find it. But I would say go to my website. That'll give you the best gist of everything that I offer and what I do, whether it's real estate or coaching or help and all that stuff. That's the most concise place, and it's bryancasella.com. Keep it real simple.
Cool. Well, it's the bottom of the hour. Thank you, man. I'm respectful of your time. Thanks for just the value you brought, the value you provided today. Some great stuff and extremely useful for anybody that is looking to move their business into this space, becoming this influencer, which more and more people are, and you've just absolutely been crushing it. So thanks, man. Thanks for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watching, being a part of the BombCast today. We've got just a few more episodes, and then we're going to be taking a little break for the month of December, give our team a little bit of a break as we wrap up our first season of doing the BombCast, and then we'll be coming back in January. So make sure you hang out with us for the rest of the month. We've got a couple more great guests before we take a bit of a break. So thank you, everyone. Bryan, I'll let you sign us off.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate you having me. Anything else you need, let me know. I'll jump on again.
All right. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. See you guys later.
See you, man.